Time tracking salaried workers is ridiculous. Sorry for any formatting issues. I'm writing this on my phone. TLDR at the end. My company decided to install time tracking software on everything a few years ago, but didn't make a big deal out of it. When asked, management said to not worry about it and keep doing your normal workday. Recently, time worked has become a bigger issue. HR is coming down hard on everyone I know. According to them, we are only working 50% or less of our required hours. This didn't make any sense, because the work is still getting done, and everyone is still online all day. Because of time being a bigger issue, I started tracking my time very carefully. I was logging over 9.5 hours of work a day, but only getting credit for maybe half that. Cue malicious compliance. I tested a bunch of different scenarios and learned what is tracked and what isn't. Scheduled meetings are always tracked, so now I am in a meeting every minute of my normal workday. And once I hit the 8-hour mark, no matter what I am doing, I drop it and quit for the day. This has started to affect how much is being done in total on a weekly basis. But I am finished with working for free. TLDR. Company complains its workers aren't putting in enough time, so now I put in the exact amount required, reducing work completion by almost an additional full day a week. First red flag, management said to not worry about it. No one adds things like this which costs time and money without a reason. Second red flag, this has suddenly started as an issue after a few years. Most likely, some new manager is flexing the newfound power. Third red flag, the system is built to ignore normal workday despite the fact you were explicitly told to do so after you asked about the time tracking system when it was introduced. Hilariously, it only seems to track meetings. Those are the least productive of any work activity I can imagine. Priorities. Cue eye roll. Prediction: people will get pay cuts based on this tracking data. Everyone will start clock watching, and starting with the most talented people will start leaving. Beginning of the slippery slope. I've seen this one before. The malicious compliance you may want to do is skip all non-tracked activities. If your company does not consider you talking to a client on the phone as work, don't talk to them on the phone. If they don't track the time it takes to read and write emails, don't. The moment your boss asks about it, point out, I was doing what I am being tracked to do. Please provide clear guidance how I can accomplish these other tasks during normal business hours, if I cannot have them properly accounted for. That they track meetings as productive time constitutes the single greatest example of corporate irony ever. In your particular situation, yeah, it's ridiculous, and you'd do well to have a backup of proof that you're putting in the required hours. I'm a programmer, salaried, and have to submit a timesheet twice a month. While a good portion of it is ignored, the billable work I do for customers as well as the actual versus estimated hours for work assignments is used extensively. Our estimates and resource planning is a lot better with actual numbers in hand. If your employees are only working 25 hours a week but getting everything done that needs to be done, the solution isn't time tracking. It's giving them a reduced hour work week. I work 55 hours a week and get most of what needs to be done completed in probably 2,530 hours. The other hours are spent being reactive instead of proactive. Part of the problem with business culture these days is that workers who are fast and efficient and getting their tasks done ahead of schedule are being punished instead of rewarded. This encourages workers to purposely do their jobs slower and less efficiently just so they don't get yelled at about how they are not being paid to sit around and have more work thrown at them to keep them busy. Spread the work up. Let everyone know what you did and how, and have them do the same or adjust per their job description. Not me, but a guy in another company I deal with. This is what I recall of his story to me. His company instituted time tracking for their salaried employees. Employees figured out what was being tracked. He then refused to participate in internal conference calls because they weren't tracked. Let many internal phone calls go to voicemail, and he replied by email. Also ignored mobile phone calls from coworkers in other time zones occurring outside of work hours. Others started doing similar things. If it wasn't time tracked, it wasn't done, or it was done in a manner that was tracked but wasn't efficient. Productivity noticeably decreased. There was a significant increase in missed deadlines. Management couldn't determine why this was happening because people were working more now than before. They finally realized time tracking wasn't appropriate or realistic for many groups of employees. Good for you. Hope the rest of the employees do the same. Amen. The second you do extra work not required of you, it will become the expectation. Don't fall into that trap. My company started a generic spreadsheet for project time tracking. The purpose is to make sure there are enough resources for projects. My compliance on this is twofold. 1. I put the most generic and broad terms in and then just put whatever hours needed. 2. I stopped filling it out entirely a few months back. To prevent my teams from going idle, I start a meeting without audio, then just manually set my status to green. So far, it works great. When you track stupid metrics, you get stupid results. But of course, management's only contribution is meetings, so they think meetings are the gold standard for work. I was working with systems. We had whiteboards as the walls, and I used them to draw things out as I was working on them before committing them to a diagram program. Real handy. Also increased collaboration as people saw what I was working on. People started doing pseudocode next to the diagrams. Problem. I was constantly locking my laptop screen per company policy multiple times an hour. Started getting dinged for it. Solution. Use the diagram programs for every step. Almost never locking my screen. And taking 3x the time. Complaints and productivity drop. Just another case of micromanagement, where they track you in the worst way. Especially salaried employees, trying to track time on the clock instead of how that time is being used effectively. But by going solely by time clocked, it shows how out of touch they are to what matters. Yeah, this type of story makes me enjoy my company even more. I'm salary, but they would never consider tracking my time. Sometimes I work 30 hours a week, sometimes 70, but I always get my assignments done. Previous employer went to tracking salaried time for billing purposes. You know, they found out for my team? We spent 1/2 our time in meetings that were non-billable. My workday is 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and I take half an hour for lunch. I may not be sitting at my computer for the whole day, but I'm definitely working the whole day thinking about a production issue while washing dishes, or figuring out how to chase down an issue by looking at log files while I heat up the eternal cup of coffee in the microwave. My new boss did ask me to track my time over a couple of days when he started, and I gave him a rundown of what I did over a couple of days. And that was enough detail that he's never asked for that type of report again. That's the way I like it. I'm salaried, in medical field. If I walk in 10 minutes late with Starbucks in hand and someone complains, that makes me want to quit on the spot. Sounds like your company is using awful time tracking software, which is not able to credit you for work actually done. We report hours in my workplace because Australia has tough minimum wage laws, so theoretically if you log enough hours on a salary, you might go under the minimum hourly and the company would have to make up the difference. But it's self-reported. My work requires billing my time, which is not a problem. But then a third-party vendor reviews it for compliance with billing guidelines. Subsequently, my time gets appealed and it will be reduced BC. It shouldn't take that long, or removed BC. Someone else was supposed to do it. My response is to make a billing entry that's acceptable no matter what was done and enter it. And when asked to do something I can't bill for, get a written authorization before proceeding. I'd rather just get the work done. But Big Brother needs a job too.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.